The fortress had dropped over 640,000 tons of bombs on European targets during the war years. This compares with 452,508 tons dropped by the B-24 Liberators and 463,544 tons dropped by all other aircraft. According to records compiled by its manufacturers, the fortress destroyed 23 enemy aircraft per 1,000 sorties, as compared to 11 by B-24 Liberators, 11 by United States fighters, and 3 by all United States light and medium bombers. Although it has been established that the very high claims of enemy aircraft kills scored by the fortress were greatly exaggerated, there can be no doubt that the total was formidable. By its almost unrivaled period of first-line service, the fortress proved itself one of the classic bomber designs of all time. Its performance proved a triumphant vindication of the principles of air strategy and bomber design established by a few far-sighted airmen and engineers in the United States of America long before World War II. While the Boeing Superfortress gained for itself undying fame as the first aircraft to drop an atomic weapon, thus bringing about the sudden termination of hostilities in the Pacific, it is also deserving of a place in the history of aircraft warfare as one of the principal Allied weapons in the war against Japan. The laborious and costly island-hopping campaign conducted in the Pacific by the Allied forces was undertaken largely to seize bases for superfortress operations against the Japanese homeland. Once bases had been established, the superfortresses of the United States 20th Air Force systematically and inexorably erased the industrial cities of Japan one by one with the terrible weapon of fire. The closely packed and lightly constructed Japanese buildings were extremely vulnerable to incendiary attacks, and the destruction wreaked by superfortresses in some built-up areas amounted to as much as 99.5%. In addition to these devastating blows against strategic targets, the superfortresses were simultaneously employed on a highly successful campaign of mine-laying in Japanese home waters, thereby applying an economic and logistic stranglehold to the islands of Nippon. The delivery of the 2 atomic bombs against Hiroshima and Nagasaki was, therefore, in the nature of a coup de grace, although essential to shorten the war.